I am going to invite our next two speakers to the stage. They're going to be really techy and fantastic and up to date because we're going to talk about AI. I know some people are quite scared right now about AI and how it's going to change our life and workplaces. But there's a lot of applications for it, which would be amazing for us, especially in the field of education. And how the world is going to change is something we shouldn't shy away from it.
Good morning, everyone. Today I want to talk about a topic which I hope is you understand and at the end of the presentation at least realize that how important it is for every single person who is sitting in this room, plus also the subject of a study of many of us, which is maybe, or many of you at least, which is Iran. The original title of the talk was Iranian Studies, / Iran, / digital transformation with a focus on AI. These dashes are supposed to tell you that there is a connection, there is an interconnection, there is a co-construction between these concepts that we want to talk about. Here I have Iranian Studies, but you should know that actually mainly I will talk about social science in general, and I have a very kind of broad understanding of Iranian Studies here. Any social science who is working on something, a topic related to Iran. Okay, just have this in mind. Also, if you want to know who I am, I have a very diverse background in AI, cognitive science, but also sociology of science and technologies. And I am a faculty member at the Vienna University of Economics and Business, where I am the director of a lab which is called Sustainable Computing Lab. And here, by sustainability, we do not only mean environmental sustainability. We also mean social sustainability, economic sustainability, which you will see. This is very important matter also to be considered in social sciences and Iranian studies when the topic is Iran. And the whole talk is based on this sentence, more or less, that it says the contemporary world is experiencing a profound transformation driven by advancements in digital technologies and also other technologies, of course, fundamentally altering the ways in which we live, produce, govern, and I can also say are. And I have chosen these 4 words very carefully, and you will see. Like yesterday that I was preparing the whole talk, I played around with AI, as you can imagine, said, okay, imagine a future which AI has helped us to create a better world and so on, and picture it for me. And that was the result. And I also really played with it a lot to say that, hey, try to include people of different color with different cultural backgrounds. It didn't work. And I gave up. And actually it says something about the topic, you know. Everyone was white, stayed white, kind of. Okay, this was the picture. The picture of a future that might come when we have more advancements implemented and integrated with our lives. And hopefully everything is good, everyone is happy. But as you have already, I'm sure, heard, this, could happen, and I'm sure it will happen in parts of the world, but it could also be that we end up in even worse place that we are today with all of these advancements. And that's why I'm very concerned about this matter, especially when it is about Iran or other countries under dictatorship. And that's why I'm here, actually. I don't define myself necessarily as a person who is working on Iranian studies, but I'm a social scientist and who is very concerned about the matter. What is very important to consider is that the consequences of these digital technologies could vary dramatically in different places on this planet. And we have to be very careful about it. And if we don't act today, we might end up in a few years or decades, and I'm not talking about centuries, that we have such a divide on this planet that maybe we can never, ever change it. Just be with me. I need your imagination for a few seconds. Imagine the future that I was describing. Imagine we have sustainable energy, producing almost free of charge energy. Imagine we have automation that is helping us produce different things. This might end up in something that economists call it nearly zero marginal cost economy, which means whatever we need, more or less free of charge, we can create. That's an amazing future if you think about it. That is something that we really can enjoy. Maybe some of you picture it like this. Now I want to ask you a question, because at the end this is not really a talk. This is a panel. This is a discussion panel, and I like to also keep it a little participatory. What does this picture tells you about Iran or similar countries? If you reach to this future that you can produce as much as food as you want, almost free of charge, that you can also produce any other good, more or less. I trust me, we are very close to that. Close, if you consider history of humans or a species, a few decades maybe away. Yeah, please.
So, thank you. I guess this picture is nice to see, the colors, but for Iran and everywhere, and mostly the dictatorship countries, we have an opportunity.
That's a very good observation. That's actually where I want to go. She said that it is actually, if it happens in Iran, it doesn't mean that dictators would feed people, care about people. And that's actually the point. This can happen in Europe or somewhere that we have better democracies. It's still here also, and I will talk about it a little. We have serious concerns about our democracies and our society in coming years because of these advancements, but we have other problems that we are actively actually in our lab are working on. But if it is in Iran, it doesn't mean that everyone will benefit from it. But I also wanted to look at it from a little more global perspective. I want to refer actually to what you said, She was asking, let's cut Iranian regime from the world, let's cut all of the economic bindings and so on. Yes. Imagine this world, a world that locally you can produce a lot of goods. And this is coming. We were talking for decades about offshoring, going to China, going to East Asia, producing there. Now many are talking, let's come back. And this let's come back is not just the right-wing policy. It has reasons for it. And some of them are mainly technological reasons. Because now we can produce based on using automation in very locally with much less costs. That's the main motivation. Otherwise, even right wings, the most liberal in the very economic perspective, or capitalist people also were actually very up for offshoring. This picture might really push our world in a future that actually has a lot of walls. Imagine a world, and here also you can see it. We are producing energy sustainably, which means no one needs oil, more or less. And then who cares? Ask yourself, why the United States left Afghanistan that easily? At least my answer from my field of study, my field of specialty is they didn't need it. If it was maybe 5 decades ago, there were many good also economic reasons for that. But now everything is just security. As long as you don't send someone to trouble us, do whatever you want in your island. And all of this is because of digital transformation or other, technological advancements. What I'm trying to say is that don't take it for granted that the world stays like this. Sooner that we can imagine, everything might be different because the way that we are producing is going to be different. And I want to call for you to think in this very pressing time, to think about the role of social scientists. Most of you here. And I'm not just talking about the role of social science. I'm talking about role of social scientists. humans, each of you. Also consider that social science and digital transformation can co-construct and are co-constructing each other. There are a lot of transformation happening inside social science because of digital transformation, and the social science can also influence how digital transformation is happening in local levels and also global levels. I have an example for you, just to a little tease your brains. And also, I can imagine most of you watch Persian or Iranian TV media, and you see that most of the discussions still are, I'm not talking about liberalism and socialism, I'm really talking about Marxism and market economy, but you know that there are a lot of hot discussions still going on that regarding this. But honestly, both of these schools are outdated. Like in universities in Europe, we just don't take these models, this perspective serious that anymore. Think about Marxism. I'm not talking about the whole Marxism or socialism, like equality and share of wealth. The very core of it, at least from my perspective. What is the argument? The argument is that if you want to produce something, again, we are back to the production, at least from that perspective, you need capital and you need workers, labor. And then some sort of value is created. And the problem that Marx is identifying is that this value is not shared or distributed fairly. That's it. Now, what if I tell you the whole production is changed? The role of capital is changed. The role of worker and labor is changed. Both of them. The whole model doesn't work anymore. Think about market economy, the other side of the discussion or discourse. What is the best argument that you have ever heard about market economy? Think about it. At least what I teach to my students in Vienna is that the best argument that I have heard is that, look, I don't care if you want to have an equal society or not, or justice or whatever other right, because you can believe in market economy with that or without that. The problem is that the whole economic, market, the ecosystem, is very complex. You cannot predict it. And because you cannot predict it, let it be. Let the players play, let the actors do their job, and there would be some sort of balance. Don't intervene. That's the very core of the argument as much as I understand it. Now, what if I tell you this problem of predictability is different nowadays? Because you have players like Google who have so much computational power and so much data that they can actually predict. They can also influence the behavior of every other actor. The whole market economy doesn't hold. Also, many parts of so-called Marxism doesn't work, and many other schools of thought. What I'm trying to say is that if we want to stay relevant in this new world, we need to update our theories. And this was just an example from a specific corner. You should also understand that there are a lot of shifts in social science. What are the topics that we define nowadays? And honestly, I compare the topics that we work on in Europe, in the conferences that I go, and then I compare it with the ones that are done in Iran, and it makes me very worried. Because also you should understand, as you said, that we are talking about a community that is under dictatorship. Our resources are very limited. And we have to be very clever. We have to put our resources where is most important. Of course, in an ideal world that were hundreds of thousands of different projects running, all funded by good governments, yes, let's do whatever we love because someone will do the more important jobs. We are not in that position. Also, data accessibility and volume has changed. It's not, in most of the cases, it's not enough anymore if you go and do 10 interviews and run 1 focus groups and then publish a paper. The way that data is collected in social science, the amount of data that is used is very different. Also, we are talking about real-time data collection in social science. It's not like that. You just work on something, write a paper, the paper stays there as a theory forever. That is gone completely, and still many of us are into isms, especially in Iranian, environment that I am. Second is, you should also understand that it's not just about the collection of data. How we deal with the data is changed in social science. And also, the same way that we collect data in real time, we also analyze this in real time. Also, automation is very important. Nowadays, like I am running several projects on this, actually myself, how we can use AI in order to do research in social science. When you run an interview, how to interpret data using many different actors. Even how you can produce some sort of data while you stay relevant, while you stay also human-centric. Also, interdisciplinary research has increased a lot. Social science more and more is expected to be able to also predict. Also, more and more is expected to be normative, not just descriptive. And also personalized or localized social science is increasing. It's not just about, again, producing theories that should hold for everyone, for smaller groups of people, for marginalized people, for specific social categories. Collecting data, analyzing it, reporting it, and this actually can help a lot in policy making, which we actually do actively in Vienna. Also, on the other side of the spectrum, globalization of research. We are sharing our data a lot with other partners, with all around the world, in order to have better understandings, in order to be able to compare. And something else that is coming more and more is social experimentation. You have heard about experiments in psychology, in cognitive science, in more individualistic perspective of, science. There are so many ethical considerations, of course, about doing it in a social level. But because everyone is using digital technologies and online environments, more and more social experimentation is also going on, which means social scientists really intervenes with the society. Again, this is something that we didn't have that much, at least, maybe to some extent, a few decades ago. Considering all of this, I should also again remind you that it's not one directional. It's not like, okay, digital transformation is coming, social science is changing, and the way that we deal with it is changing. We also run a lot of projects on how to keep digital transformation accountable, ethical, transparent, understandable, controllable, human compatible, name it. Many problems. And unfortunately, we cannot actually, I'm not sure how much we can do many of this in an environment like Iran. Because here, actually, you push for the human rights, and there, maybe not. Here, for example, the problems that we work on, one of them, it's so-called surveillance capitalism. You have capitalism which is based on surveillance. But in Iran, we have something that maybe we can call it surveillance dictatorship. And then when the dictator itself is using all of this technology for surveillance, what do you want to do? And that actually increases the role of us, people who are not inside the country, to work on it. Define projects that can tackle these matters. At least increase the awareness of people inside Iran, or also global awareness about it. As I said, I really call for you to understand or to consider yourself as actors. Also consider the field of study that you have as an actor, as an active actor. And also, I really call for rethinking Iranian studies or social science in relation to Iran. I was checking this, you too, as well. And I would be very happy even to run a research project together with some of you. Just go through these talks that we have in these 2 days. There are also some other conferences in Iranian studies. Check how many of them have research topics that are relevant to a future. So-called what we call it future readiness of a science. Second, see what they have done. They are scientists. They have methodologies, hopefully. What is the methodology that they use? Are they still following some methodologies that, I don't know, 70 years ago were relevant? Or what are the theories, assumptions, foundations of their perspective? And again, this rethinking, I think, and assessing is very important to understand what's the current stage. We also really need to create so-called socio-technical imaginary for Iranian studies or for social science in relation to Iran. Who do we want to be? What are the values of this community? Why are we here? Is it an individual experience, good experience of just being around and talking? Or we are very concerned because these are pressing times. Because we might end up, as I said, involved islands in 20 years, in 10 years. I have one example that really maybe can show you what a problematic future we might have. Just Google it. Just go to YouTube. Just search it. There are many different ready-to-use prototypes for military robots. Not prototypes, really robots that can be used in military. Now I give you a simple scenario. Imagine Ukraine, just an imagination, would have hundreds of them. Russia would have then 200 of them. As soon as you can create one, you can create more. This is the same thing that is going on about drones, Then they will create 200, 2,000, 200,000, 2 million, 10 million. You will see that maybe in 10 years, we will end up in a world that there are millions of military robots around us. As soon as a dictatorship government or any other government can create one robot, one police robot that is really functional, they can increase the number to millions just by, producing more and more. And this is not that far. I'm not talking about science fiction. I'm talking about a few years. And maybe in a few years we come back here and say, now we are having a government established, produces all of the goods, as I told you at the very beginning, also has so many of these robots and drones and surveillance systems. And what can we do with that? Besides this rethinking and besides this reassessing ourselves, and I hope we even start doing it today and now, because look how many beautiful minds are sitting here. I really also call for educating experts. I'm not sure how many of us is well educated to understand what's going on, to define good research projects and directions, to use all of these technologies, to use all of these new ways of doing science. And I feel it's very important and pressing that we start to develop new educational systems. And I'm not talking inside Iran. Iran Academy is a good example. I feel maybe with the help of people who actually can help, let's create online ecosystems who can educate the next generation to be able to deal with all of this. And last, besides all of this, as I said, let's have new initiatives. Many of them. There are thousands of, literally, I'm not making it up, potential research projects just today waiting for us to do them. And let's talk about them. Let's push ourselves. Let's support ourselves to do it. This is a community that maybe doesn't have that much of funding, but as you said, we might have ourselves. At least we can try to support each other, to push. And community. I really feel that we need to create sub-communities working on different topics, but also maybe more and more on general communities to push all of this. Again, not because we can, but because we should and we must. Because, I don't know, like for younger people sitting here, I can say the winter is coming. And maybe it's almost there. Look at the surveillance that is going on in Iran and how worse it could be in a few years. And let's do something about it. Thank you.
Okay, John, just aside, I profoundly apologize for mispronouncing your surname. But I really encourage all of you to put aside some time during these 2 days and talk to Soheil, because this is such an important issue and it's need to be done. It's like
bedrock of whatever we're going to create for the future of Iran. I always say there's a CMOC that we need to create again. And one wing of that CMOC is intellectuals who understand the challenges of future and its opportunities. Because without that, there is no vision. And without the vision, there is no community, there is no hope, there is no future. So I'm not going to talk more. I'm going to give it to you, the stage to you, and hopefully, you take us to the next level. And after that, we're going to have a short break and then go to the next breakout.
So it's very difficult to put it all together and wrap it up because I want us to go back on schedule. It turns out that being part of the organizing team and being amongst the first speakers is not such a good idea. So it was very difficult for me to put my thoughts together, to prepare a presentation. So I do not have a presentation, slides on to show. I think I will improvise. And as a musician, improvisation always worked for me. I hope it works here too. I'm going to cut some of the things that I wanted to say because Soheil beautifully put all those points, but he painted a picture, a general picture, though I disagree with him in terms of somehow apocalyptic point of view, but maybe he doesn't think that way, he just wants to provoke some thoughts. Anyways, we're going to talk more about everything. I am Sajad Sepehri. I'm a researcher at Amsterdam University in Sociology department, but I am proud to introduce myself as a member of executive team of ISSH, Institute for Social Sciences and Humanities, known as Iran Academia, that I am proudly a member of for a couple of years now, and I will go to more concrete, practical steps that is very much related to what Soheil said, and I am very happy and proud to see a person in that domain being able to come on stage in an inauguration of a conference which is related to Iranian studies and is dominated by social scientists, and to be able to speak to you all. And I have been trying to somehow work on AI and the application of AI in education and learning. So I'm going to focus on AI in education and learning. I wanted to talk about some myths about AI or some misconceptions about AI, which is really, really common, especially in social sciences and especially among social scientists. So I'm going to be frank here and say that social scientists generally, as I am witnessing in the university and also it's known, very much against what's happening about AI, very much in reserve about it, withdrawing themselves from getting engaged. And it is very interesting to know that, willingly or unwillingly, they have to get engaged and do something about it and either adopt or, do something about making some policies or advocating against it even. So that would be, again, a good thing to happen. I'm trying to shorten what I was saying because inevitably I'm not an expert, and I hope it's not going to demotivate you to listen to me because I'm saying that I'm not an expert in AI or in research. But I'm a researcher and I'm engaged with the application of AI, building a platform. So, and if I go on talk about all different aspects, I inevitably say some stupid things. So I will try to shorten it and speak about why we are here, why we opened the conference with this topic. The reason is an experience of more than a decade working on higher education on a fully online university that I'm still looking outside to find something similar to it. Because it's free of charge in its true meaning, and it is high quality, interdisciplinary social studies qualified by European qualification framework, giving an equal master's level diploma to students who are deprived from pursuing their higher education. So please, if you know any institution like that, let me know, because I'm not saying to somehow do an advertisement about this institution, because it does not do advertisement. I'm saying this because I really am eager to know if there are any other highly motivated people who are doing a similar thing that we can work together and around the world. So this is very important to know that the reason we are talking about this is that we have been around as ISSH, I'm talking as Iran Academia, with the sacrifice of particularly its executive director, Ali Reza, and I'm thankful to every one of you as faculty members who have been with Iran Academia for many years. It needs really, I am always grateful for that. We have been thinking about how to improve things, and Soheil actually talked about collaboration and the gap. He talked about possibilities that to get engaged, about social experimentations, about research projects, about topics that you might be interested in or want to work on. And you will know at the end of this, at the end of today, in a special event, that we will talk about a research center that we are going to talk about, and also about sustainability and fundraising and all kinds of stuff that is required. And thanks to sacrifice and the belief of particular people, the institution is now anticipating a future where it can expand its activities. So we had to talk in English, and I want to touch this very important point that we are sitting in a room of senior researchers, junior researchers, or people interested in social sciences who speak Persian. And it is by default a body of knowledge excluded with a dominated English language body of knowledge. You cannot associate those body of knowledge together, you cannot link them together, you cannot connect them together, and you guys have to write in English, publish in English, and go through the painful, outdated, I would not use other words, publication processes and also peer review processes to publish a paper in English in order to establish yourself as a researcher and also to share your knowledge with others. So that time is over, and with the developments in AI, we are actually, with natural language processing, with all different technologies and techniques, we are able to connect these bodies of knowledge and create a more inclusive body of knowledge, a body of knowledge where actually you can write in your own language and you can be heard, you can be cited, you can be quoted, you can be understood, and you can collaborate with people in different languages. So we need actually to build a platform that is language agnostic, because we have the capability and the technology and the motivation to build a community of experts and scholars who are trying to take this thing into the next level. And I am very happy to see that there are some movements around. And at Iran Academia and with Iran Academia, we are developing a platform for knowledge exchange and learning, because learning is changing, the paradigm is shifting in education. And it is very funny because the head of the research of UNESCO, once I was talking with, I told him that it is a part of the vision statement of UNESCO that the education system is failing globally. And he was shocked. And he said, please find that sentence in the vision of UNESCO. I've never seen it. And I said, look, go to the main website of UNESCO and read about it. Nowadays, education systems, governments, and these kind of gigantic corporations called universities are trying to adopt AI with themselves instead of adopting themselves with the developments of AI. So I hope we don't fall into that trap. And we are, as an alternative education institution, and hopefully in a very, very near future, alternative research center, we can contribute into the advancement of AI research in social sciences, especially in Iran, and trying to help connecting these kind of brilliant minds that are writing or not writing in Persian to be motivated to write more to engage more, to collaborate more, and to be read and to be seen, and to be able to discuss. And so hopefully soon enough, we will not be having this conference bilingual, but we could have it language agnostic. So everybody could come and sit and talk in their own language, share their own knowledge. And we'll be able to actually bridge between experiential, professional, and scholarly knowledge, because that is knowledge that we know and we experience and we live. So I'm going to end my talk, and probably we will have a very short time for question and answers. Just I wanted to actually ask all of you, I love this topic, and I love to talk with people who are genuinely interested in it, for collaboration, for research projects, for all kinds of contribution in building such platform. We're working on it. It's called iLibri, and we are hoping that it's going to be something inclusive in terms of language and also culture, and to bridge knowledges together, which we call them knowledges with S, to emphasize on connecting experiential, professional, and academic knowledge in an ecosystem that is highly interlinked and functional and efficient. So learning is changing, and I hope all of you are triggered. That was the goal, to think about these topics and maybe in your own way contribute in advancement of what we have been doing for years. And thank you very much for listening to me, and I'm really grateful and honored to be able to speak to you today. And I hope the rest of the conference will go good, and we have to jump to other sessions and prepare everything. So and also I want to thank everyone who was helping today, from volunteers and staff and the team of Iran Academia, and all the distinguished guests. Thank you very much.
I think we have time for only 2 questions, because then we're going to go, yes.
Thanks, Sajad, for your talk. I really enjoyed it. I have a question about artificial intelligence, and I wonder if you think artificial intelligence can ever be conscious.
So that's a very interesting question. You should know that we have a lot of trouble in cognitive science and many different schools of thought to even consider if humans are conscious or not. You know, we have 2 camps, at least 2 camps. Then also, if they are, what is this consciousness? Is it just an illusion, or is it some sort of physical, attribute of the cognitive system, like, or is a result of some sort of other cognitive, like a specific cognitive processes? So I'm trying to tell you that the question that you're raising is a very challenging question, even if you want to ask it not about AI, but about humans. However, my personal perspective, if you just really are asking about me, like that, your scientific answer is that we don't know, because we don't know about consciousness enough that we can actually provide a widely accepted scientific theory about consciousness. We have good philosophical, of course, discussions about that. But you might ask about my very personal answer, and my very personal perspective would be that if we don't consider consciousness to be its own substance metaphysically, then there should be, at least theoretically, any reason that we believe AI cannot be conscious at some point. Again, that's why this is linked to the first part of my answer. If consciousness is its own substance, that we have zero evidence scientifically for that, and scientifically we don't believe it, then from my perspective, there is no reason to justify AI cannot be conscious.